Hey, I want to talk about cemeteries and symbolism. Now, to me, a cemetery is like a book, and I love going to them because I learn a lot. And many cemeteries have just a myriad of symbols throughout. Now, this is a famous Catholic cemetery. It's called Queen of Heaven. It's a Catholic cemetery. And it's very elaborate. Some of my relatives are buried here. But as you can see, they went all out. They have quite a few beautiful statues of angels, mausoleums, and on top of the mausoleums are the symbols of the religion and the belief system. What is very interesting to me when I visited this place was not only that they had Virgin Mary apparitions in the cemetery, but inside the indoor mausoleum, they had a extensive amount of symbolism in the stained glass on the walls all over the place. Now here's a phoenix above, I guess that would be bodies in there. And there is an eye, I don't know if you can see it, in the pyramid on the top circle in this picture above the stained glass. So here are some of your symbols. That would be the Eye of Providence. Beautiful stained glass Virgin Mary. Below her is the Vesica Piscis. And here was a room inside this mausoleum with fleur-de-lis. Again, the Virgin Mary. All of the stories of the religion encoded into this stained glass window. A chapel with symbols as well. And it continues on. Here is another stained glass window with many symbols. And a prayer area. Symbols are also encoded into this, I guess this was ironwork in front of it. And here's an angel blowing a trumpet. Behind it, this angel is quite a bit of artwork on the wall. Another stained glass with it almost appears like a snake around a cross on the bottom left, which is a Gnostic symbol. Here is the Virgin Mary, very important in Catholicism. She's called the Lady of the Rosary. Here again is I don't think this is Jesus. This is probably one of the apostles. And here we have Mary Magdalene with the skull. I believe that's the skull of Golgotha. I believe that's, I'll have to look that up, but that's part of the religion. Now, here is a picture of the Holy Family. Joseph portrayed as a carpenter. Again, the Virgin Mary, look at her hands. Look at the symbols. And again, with the stained glass, this one had a tremendous amount of symbolism encoded in it. Just take a look. There's a blow-up of it. Just look at all the symbols. The M, crowns, and many other symbols. And here is a deer. Very interesting. Again, more symbolism. Look at the sun rays bursting out from the Virgin Mary and the baby Jesus. And here in this next picture is a crucifix. And it is said this is the area where the Virgin Mary appeared for quite a while to a certain person who was receiving messages. And this was outside of Chicago suburbs. But again, the cemetery, and it has quite a bit of symbolism. There is also another Catholic cemetery right next to this, Queen of Heaven, across the street. Now, I went and I visited a Jewish cemetery. And it's interesting. They talk about remembering, and it's very simplistic. It's a big difference between this Jewish cemetery and a Catholic cemetery. Now, this is almost just reminiscent of the Wizard of Oz. This was a abstract kind of sculpture that celebrated the 12 tribes of Israel, and it completely reminded me of this scene in The Wizard of Oz where they were traveling down the Yellow Brick Road to the Emerald City. And as I went down that path to take a look at this dedication or sculpture, whatever you want to call it, I was looking at the grave markers, and they're very simplistic, very simplistic. And there are differences, when they do a funeral, from what I know from experience, a Catholic will, if possible, have a wake, and you'll see the body and say goodbye, and then they would bury them. Whereas the Jewish tend to not really have a wake. You don't look at the body. Now here's a close-up of that memorial. Look at the flame. And around this sculpture, which was huge, were these plaques representing each of the tribes of Israel. There were 12 of them. And look at this, pyramids for one of these tribes. And they, either have an animal or a symbol. Look at that snake around the scales, and it's Phoenician. And I'd have to take a look as to what these symbols correspond to tribe-wise. There's the lion, but there's an ephod. But it's interesting. And as I said, going into a cemetery to me is basically like opening a book. Now, some of them are creepy. I do get some real negative vibes. Like, I know in the Catholic one, when I was up on, I think it was the second or third floor, I felt like something was very angry that I was there taking pictures and wanted me out. So I kind of left, but the other areas were fine. And these other cemeteries were fine. But they have a vibe to it. But as I said, to me, it's like opening a book. Now, I've been to other cemeteries, and they tend to have a lot of obelisks for the men, which we all know is a pharaonic symbol. So I'm going to show you a few of those. But yeah, cemeteries are incredibly interesting. It's just another chapter in the story of how we are completely immersed in this symbolism from the Cronides and these cults of Saturn and Zeus. Absolutely immersed in it. So you could, if you ever go to some of these cemeteries, start looking around and seeing if you can pick up on a lot of these symbols. And that's it. Just another thought, just another observation in this place that we live in. Thank you.